We are back in the booth. It's your boy Flobo Boys, and I'm hanging with people who are doing the dang thing when it comes to the great game of baseball and more. Let's be honest, but my guest here is a legend in his own right. I've been peeping, I've been scoping the podcast network, how he helps out the community, and more. Please welcome Danny Foxworth to the show. What's going on, brother?
What is good people? Man, Flobo, I appreciate you so much for the invite, man. I wouldn't miss this for the world. So, man, I'm ready to have fun and talk some baseball with my guy.
Man, I'm glad you said that because I've been looking for someone for a year on this show that was a Texas Ranger fan, and you're right under my nose. so, so
Here
it
I
worked
go.
out. Yo, let's talk about that first, man. Because are you a Texas original? Is that how it started with you? The game of baseball? Did you like learn to be a Texas Ranger fan after the fact? What happened?
No, so my love affair with baseball started. Well, first and foremost, I'm South Carolina born and raised. I was born in Charleston, raised in a small town called Moncks Corner, South Carolina. It's about a half hour outside of Charleston.
Yeah.
And how my love affair with baseball started was sometimes I would spend weekends at my grandparents' house and they had cable. I lived in a very rural neighborhood, so cable wasn't available. So standard operating procedure was when I would stay with them after we ate dinner, we would go sit in front of that big back floor model Zenith
Oh,
and
the wood
7
grain.
yeah, the floor model joint. And we would sit in front of the TV at 7:05. It was appointment viewing. We watched the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
And they were the ones that really got me into baseball. My granny and granddaddy were like super duper sports fans because neither one of my parents are really into sports like that. So I got my sports fandom from them. And so I would watch them, and like the next morning I would be up and I'd be in the front yard trying to find the biggest branch I could find. And I would try to emulate Dale Murphy, his stance, his swing, and everything, man. At the
Yeah.
time, he was my first favorite player. So that's really how I became immersed in the sport of baseball.
Man, it's funny. I feel like the Atlanta Braves should be sending out cookies and dollars to grandparents because they put a whole generation on to the
Yeah,
game of baseball, bro.
for real, for real, for real.
Yo, shout out to South Carolina. I went to college in Florida and I used to make that run up and down the eastern seaboard from Brooklyn all the time. And I had a couple friends that lived out in Beaufort, and
Yeah,
they would go party what they called the Chuck back then, Charleston. They called
yeah. It's still a Chuck, and it ain't
oh,
nothing changed.
Man, I'm just that takes me back, man. The early 2000s was a vibe. All right, bet. So TBS Superstation, I get that. There's a lot of fans, or I call the Superstation fans, right? Cubs fans, Yankee fans, Braves fans. They got from the TV thing, but I got to be honest with you. The reason why I was having trouble finding fans of Texas fandom, I was on Reddit looking for people who love the team, and it was just hard to find. So I got to
Yeah.
ask, I got to double down. When did it convert to you? When did you like, yo, man, this is my new squad? Why'd you switch from the Braves?
Well, to be honest, I'd never really hitched my wagon to the Braves. I just like watching them play. But the year was 1993, and at that point, that's when I started really, just attaching my allegiances to certain sports teams that I was really interested in becoming a fan of. And so, how I became a Texas Rangers fan. Mainly, I root for teams that nobody else was rooting for, and especially being in Braves country during the early '90s, that was like sacrilege, damn near. And so I I was really getting into baseball cards, and that's when I became familiar with Nolan Ryan. Me and the homies, we would trade baseball cards and look at the Beckett Monthly and stuff, and just flip the cards over to look at their career stats. And I saw it just blew my mind that Nolan Ryan had 5,000 like 5,700 career strikeouts. And
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow, that's impressive. I need to watch out for him. And then around the same time, my parents got they put we couldn't get cable in our neighborhood for nothing. There was a guy that would go door to door that would sign a petition that sent to the cable company, and it fell on deaf ears. So my parents said, we're going to rub our nickels together. We're going to get a satellite dish.
Oh, let's go.
It's like cheat code unlocked. And so I was able to catch baseball games from other places where I normally wouldn't catch it over regular cable. And there was a TV station in Dallas. I want to say it was KTVT. I could be mistaken. And Saturday nights they would have the Rangers game of the week. And Nolan Ryan was supposed to pitch that day. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna tap in. And actually, he didn't end up hit. I think Charlie Huff, knuckleball extraordinaire, ended up taking the mound that night. But the person that really made me become a Texas Rangers fan was Julio Franco.
Okay,
That- He
yeah,
he was so cool to me. That batting stance, because it's like the bat will be so far, like the top of the bat will be facing towards the pitcher. I never seen such an unorthodox batting stance.
yeah,
And he was hot that night. He went like 3 for 4 that night. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
I like him. And then they had Rafael Palmeiro and Juan Gonzalez and Dean Palmer. I'm like, I'm on board. I'm officially hitching my wagon to the Texas Rangers, and this been on ever since.
Man, this is interesting to me because if you are a long term listener of the podcast, first of all, thank you. But I always talk about the time I go around the country and they say, hey, did you ever feel like you're out of place at a baseball game? And it involved the Texas Rangers. And so if you heard the story, I apologize. But it was the Braves at Arlington at Globe Life. And I felt like it was very American. Like, it felt like the only time as a black traveler, I was like, I didn't really feel if I was necessarily invited. But that's an unfair perspective. I'm a city slicker. I'm from Brooklyn. So let me ask you this. In your opinion, what is the culture of being a Texas fan? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Was I there on a bad day? Talk to me.
You know what? My first Rangers game that I ever attended in Arlington, I'm not going to lie to you, Flo. I had the same exact reaction. Same exact reaction. There's a lot different watching it on TV as opposed to being fully immersed in that Texas energy. It's
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head. But you know, the I went to a couple more games and I didn't get that vibe. So maybe it was just that particular day that we went to our respective games. But yeah, the Texas vibe, man, it's unmistakably Texas. I can't really put my finger on what that is exactly. I'll tell you one of the biggest factors with the Texas vibe is that damn heat. Oh my gosh. I'd never been subjected to heat and humid, and it gets hot and humid down here in the low country. But
Yeah.
Texas heat and humidity in the middle of July is different, brother.
Yeah, I can't imagine having that park outside. The new Choctaw Stadium we used to play, it was outdoors. But Globe Life
Yeah.
in May was like 98% humid. It was basically water in the sky. That's how it
Yeah.
felt. It was just like walk around with a wet blanket on. It was awful. But okay, so Bet, you go to the game, man. Walk me through how you take in a game at Globe Life. Where do you sit? Where do you eat? How do you experience? Like, what if I was taking me out? You're gonna show me a
hmm
good time. How would you do it?
So first thing we would do, normally I get there early so we can catch batting practice. And then once they get through with batting practice, that's when I make my move to the concession stand. So first thing I would do, depending on how hungry you were, I'm a voracious eater. So the first thing I would do is go straight for the boomstick.
Oh yes.
The the boomstick is like it's literally a 2 foot long hot dog with everything on it.
Dang.
Normally, if I would had a guest with me, I would normally start slow and then work my way up. But if it's just me, yeah, I'm going full speed, like brick on the gas pedal. Let's eat. I'm here for a good time.
No, I respect that.
Yeah.
How many games do you go to a season? Like 20, 30, 40, 50?
Man, I wish it was that much. Now
Yeah.
I'm talking about like baseball outside of the Rangers.
Just in general, how many games you get to? Like how many
Yeah,
times you get
yeah, I'll say about 30 or 40. I
Okay.
normally I'll go to the I go to the local. You got the local team, the Charleston River Dogs. So I go to their games quite often.
Okay, yeah, I respect that. Yeah, minor
Yeah,
league ball need love and support too. I'm thinking
yeah.
I live in Los Angeles currently, and the closest ones I would say, well, now it's the Quakes and then the 66ers, and that's like a drive. But no, I always go out and support minor league teams. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Uh, so walk me through this, man, because I feel people of a certain age, brothers and sisters of a certain age, we kind of
hmm
got kind of the short end of the stick when it came to baseball being on top of mind. I felt like the generation before us had the Dave Parker era and those legends, but I felt like in the '90s and 2000s, yeah, there was the Jeter over here, yeah, MJ was playing baseball with the Barons over there, but everyone kind of went to the N1 mixtape. Everyone kind of went to Madden. Like, why did baseball fall off? You think? Like, what made it not cool for a bit?
Man, I'll tell you personally, the thing that really made me fall out of love with baseball for a brief period was the '94 strike
Yeah.
because there were two things that were going on that were the people that were on the precipice of reaching the milestone. Number one, Ken Griffey Jr. was on pace to break Roger Maris's single season home run record that year. And also when the strike happened, Tony Gwynn was hitting like 391. And I'd never seen an athlete, particularly in the sport of baseball, break any records up until that point. And I was like, man, they were on the verge of something good, and then the shutout happened, and the strike happened. And I was like, you know what, I'm through with baseball, and I just completely threw it on the shelf.
Wow.
And I'll tell you exactly what made me fall in love with baseball again. Is as bad as it may seem to some, but PEDs, man. The
Fair.
Bro, Sosa and McGuire, they have me fully invested. I mean, fully invested. I'm like, yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
Okay, so people say that was a dark time in baseball, but that got you back into the game. So let me ask you: the stars
Yes.
from that era, are they Hall of Fame worthy or no?
I say, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, if you want to add a different section of the hall with an asterisk to it, fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, steroids won't make you see the ball and make contact with the ball.
True.
Like,
True.
won't improve your hand-eye coordination.
For
But
the record, I do agree with you 100%. Like, I know this is something I quote a lot, but because I'm just basically paraphrasing Rich Eisen, I had the privilege of seeing Cooperstown, and it's really a museum. Like, it talks about all of baseball. There's like a Tommy John exhibit. There's like a segregation exhibit. So like,
wow.
it's a part of the game. You can't just
Yeah.
extract 10 years and be like, hope no one remembers.
Yeah.
Like, put everybody in there. You know what I'm saying? I just
Yeah. Bro, everybody was invested when they broke the record. When McGuire broke the record, it was national. It was just a regular season game, like in the middle of the week, that was nationally televised on Fox because everybody was tuned in to see him break the record. I
yeah.
think. Well, I can't remember if he it was to break the record, or if he was to hit, or if it was to hit 70 home runs. But I just remember I was tuned in. I went, and the next day, me and my homies were like, "Yo, did you catch McGuire breaking the record?" Like, yeah. I'm like, man, and a lot of my friends were like, "Man, I think I'm gonna start watching baseball again." So I didn't feel so bad, having something like that that's really looked at funny by a lot of purists lure me back into the game, and not only me, but a lot of my friends as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you think the kids are into it? Like I always ask this question, but is baseball cool for the next generation? Is it something that we can still promote with some
yeah,
hype, or is it like the
yes,
same?
I think it's cool.
Yeah. How so?
Yeah, man, just seeing the black players that are currently in the league, and how they add their own swag and their own flair to the game. Like, you got Jazz Chisholm. I enjoy following him on IG, and Lawrence Butler, and even though they're not in the league yet, like Tank Hence, I'm a big fan of. Actually, Rangers reliever Mark Church. That's the guy I'm really keeping my eye on. I've been because a lot of my friends, like when they ask me, like, what players should I keep tabs on, or like what players should I keep an eye on, like, well, specifically what black players I should keep an eye on, then I mention those names, and they're like, man, I I'm fully invested. Even a couple of them told me, like, yo, I even bought the extra innings package
Oh
just so
wow.
I can keep tabs on these players, like the players that you were referring me to.
Yeah, that's what's up. Like maybe they can change, like share stories and get your friends hype is always the social element of things. And I like
It
one of the
is.
things, and I say this now because you're also a podcaster. Like when people see you performing and being passionate about something, it's like, okay, put me on. What are you talking about? Like why are you
Yeah,
so hype right now? you know.
yeah.
But
And
let's
this
talk
is,
about yeah.
yeah, I was going to say, and this is really dope, and this is a very rewarding feeling when especially a lot of my black friends that have been out of the loop, they're like, man, I'm gonna try my hand at getting back into baseball again, and your podcast is the reason why. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So let's talk about the podcast game because, brother, you got a whole network going. I saw the photos of the office. I know you had humble beginnings, but what was the decision that you said, you know what, I got some things in my mind. I want to share it. I'm going to build a platform to share those ideas when it comes to sports culture and everything else.
Well, for me, it started I'll tell you the podcast. It began because it was during COVID, and a couple of my homies had a podcast that they no longer do. It was called the Board Meeting, and they would invite me on whenever they would do like tournament themed episodes. So we did one like talking about '90s rap one hit wonders. We did a Rockefeller versus Bad Boy bracket. We did it's like a whole bunch of different
Wait,
like
hold on.
musical.
What's your favorite '90s one hit wonder? One hit hip hop wonder? Smiles and South
Oh
Star.
my oh my gosh,
So,
boy, that's
I'm just
boy, you pulled that rabbit out the hat. I completely forgot about them. Man, I wish I remembered who ended up winning the bracket.
okay.
But I mean they had the songs already picked out in the bracket. I just had to be the deciding vote, so to speak.
Got
But but when the more guest appearances I got under my belt, and my friends would listen. They were like, "So when are you going to start? You're good with them. Like you ever thought about starting your own podcast?" And initially, I was like, "Nah, not really. I'm the lefty that they call out of the bullpen, for lack of a better term." And then the more guest appearances I got under my belt, the more that urge became like it was just too big to ignore. And I was like, "Okay, I want to start a podcast, but I don't know what to talk about because I don't really want to cover the same things that everybody else is." And it wasn't until I was on Twitter one day and I started noticing all of my friends, specifically all of my black friends that are on Twitter that are also into baseball, pretty much all of them rooted for different teams. I'm like, I think I might be onto something here. And
okay.
so this was like September of 2022 when I had the light bulb just went off in my head. I'm like, okay, let me reach out to all of them and tell them what my podcast is about and see if they would be interested. And lo and behold, all of them said yes. So January of 2023 is when, or January 13th specifically, 2023 was the first episode of At the Plate with Danny Foxworth, and
Okay.
that one's really cool. That one's like because that's like niche. That's like a niche market, really. And
Yeah.
then for since we last spoke, I always kept a ever since I really got into podcasting, I just kept in my phone, like in my notes app, I would just keep a lot of different subjects that will pop up on my head while I'm at work, and I would just type them in my notes app. I'm like, you know what? I really haven't heard anybody discuss this. Why not add this to the podcast? So it's just like a myriad of topics. So like one of the first episodes, I talked about my what it was like getting my colonoscopy, and
Yeah.
then just like talking about dealing with grief. But the thing with the serious topics for me is you don't want to beat people over the head with the serious topics all the time. So I make sure that I mix in some lighthearted stuff too. So the aforementioned brothers that I talked about with their podcast, I basically carried the tradition, and I'll do tournament themed episodes, and then I'll bring them on to do the episodes with me. So we did a Wu-Tang solo album tournament
Liquid
episode.
Swords. Liquid
Yeah,
Swords. I don't know why
I
it's a
think so.
tournament. I don't know why it's a tournament. It's Liquid Swords. What are we doing?
And Supreme Clientele ended up winning.
Well, okay, all right. I ain't mad,
We
but I'm kind of
did
mad.
fair enough. I mean, to each his own. We did a fast food French fries tournament. We did a little Debbie snack cake tournament. Man,
Okay.
and then like I'll have episodes just talking strictly about childhood stories. I had my parents on to talk about what it was like caretaking for a parent that was suffering from dementia,
Mm,
and I had them back. Actually, I had my dad on for a Father's Day episode and my mom on for a Mother's Day episode, and just talking, hearing them, just like talking to them about what it was like growing up, and just hearing each other's account about how they met and when they knew it was the right time for them to jump the broom. It was super cool. Just like even in being 44 years old and still figuring out new information for my parents. that was awesome, man. That was super dope.
Yeah, I
But
don't think
yeah,
people
since we last spoke,
realize. Yeah,
go ahead.
parents of a certain age, they don't like to share anything really. They kind of like, why you
Yeah,
asking those questions for? Get back inside.
yeah. Like my dad, he's an avid bass guitar player, and just him telling me how he got into playing the bass guitar was actually his best. Well, actually, he was like, I would take a rubber band when I was in school, and I would just pull the rubber band on, like I'll stretch it out on my school desk, and I would just pop the rubber band, and then I figured out if I'm manipulating my finger, I can make the rubber band make different sounds. And he was like, I might be onto something here. And lo and behold, his best friend growing up also played bass guitar unbeknownst to him. And so dad learned from his friend how to play the guitar. And then he started playing in clubs and stuff during his, like, after high school. And he actually met my mom in one of those clubs. And he was like, man, and then they've been together ever since. It's wild.
Oh man, what's the greatest thing about being up? Because I've seen the pictures, man. Like, because you first started out, you was on someone's kitchen table. Was that grandma's house? But now you got a whole studio going. I mean, the growth must be crazy. What's been the biggest like win since launching the podcast network?
Biggest win, man, I would have to say, I think it might have been back in January. Well, all of my podcasts combined, I reached 10,000 downloads. I was like, holy smokes. Just again, you truly never know who's listening and who's watching. Case in point, there's a guy down here in the Charleston area by the name of Dean Stevens. He started off as a sports anchor for the ABC News affiliate down here, and he moved his way. He had been doing news for damn near 30 years, and he moved up to the lead anchor on the 6 o'clock news. Completely random. He DMs me on Twitter. He was like, "Look," and he was like, "I know you don't know." Well, he's like, "I know you don't know me. He's like, man, I'm a big fan of your podcast. I've been listening." And like, he told me which episodes that he enjoyed listening to. He was like, let's do lunch one day. I think he had just gotten out of the news game and got off of work, and he gave me his number. We talked for about an hour, and then next thing you know, I have him on my podcast. I had him on At the Play because he's from Houston originally. So he's a diehard Astros fan. So I had him on for that, and then I had him on Since We Last Spoke, just talking about his story of how he got in the news and how he conquered his drug addiction. Man, it was so many layers that he peeled back that he really wasn't able to talk about being behind the news desk. And though that was probably two of the most rewarding things so far being a podcaster.
Any wish list for the show as far as guests or topics you haven't covered before?
Oh man, as far as at the plate, I would love to I'd love to get a former major leaguer. That's at the top of my list. So um no, eventually that's going to happen, and so that's the biggest bucket list thing for at the plate. As far as since we last spoke, man, you know, I would really love to get Flavor Flav on the pod and just pick his brain because
Okay.
he's just such a fascinating dude, man. Outside of the hype man stuff, he's like talented, multi instrumentalist. No, he's sober. No, I'm sober as well. I've celebrated. Last year was 20 years sober from alcohol.
Let's go.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And just like him being such a staunch supporter of the women's Olympic teams, and this past summer, just like being a philanthropist and stuff. I'm like, I never really envisioned Flav, just being such like just coming full circle with his well, I don't say career arc, but just like his evolution. It's just really been fascinating to witness. And Mr. T as well. I just want
Oh,
to sit and pick. I would love to just sit down with Mr. T and just pick his brain because I have so many questions of how like he became Mr. T.
Oh yeah, it's funny. In a lot of ways, those two are very similar because they could have been just part of a specific time period or decade, but they've
Hmm.
transcended. So yeah, man, I hope you get them
Yeah,
both for sure.
yeah,
Let's talk about a little bit of the MLB fashion. City Connects. The Texas Rangers have one, the straight up Texas, the black and white. I liked it. My friends did not. Where did you land on
yeah.
that one,
And you know what? I didn't like it either, to be honest. There's a lot of the City Connect uniforms that I'm not a fan of. But
brother?
but the weird thing is the City Connect uniform that I really love the most is the one that I've seen just universally panned, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals one. The red one with
Oh,
this
the
just
Lou,
said the
the
Lou.
Lou. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite City Connect jersey. That one and the other one that I like there's been widely panned was the Orioles one, the black one with the white block Baltimore letters across the chest. I
Yeah.
like that one.
All right, but the Texas Rangers is also bold. Has a little gothic TX on it. Straight up Texas. No, not feeling it.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Wow, wow. Well, I will say
Yeah.
this. I think as someone who ranked them for Black Baseball Mixtape, that was firmly in the middle for me. And I get it
Okay.
because when the Mets came out with theirs, I was quick to hate it, but I learned to love it. I actually have one of those. But
Yeah.
I know about the whole city. If people think it's too much for baseball, go back to it. I kind of like the idea they're most street fashion pieces. But you're right. The St. Louis one, everyone hated for some
Yeah.
reason. As we get into the 2025 season, man, of all the divisions of baseball, AL West looks like the total crapshoot. Seattle Mariners can't get over the hump.
Yeah.
The Angels got some reclamation projects. The Astros are on top, but they had their problems last year. And I don't know if Sacramento is going to hurt a team or help a team, but there is Texas, someone who is
Yeah.
having their own money problems, having their own personnel problems. Are they going to end up on top when it's all said and done?
I think so. I think so. Well, barring injuries, because and then also this is an even numbered year for Bruce Bochy. So normally that's a very good sign. He'll win the World Series, and then they have a bit of a dip, and they don't perform well in the playoffs, or they miss the playoffs completely. The next thing you know, the following year they win the World Series. I mean, he won three in a span of 5 years with the Giants, and he got one his first year with the Rangers in an odd numbered year. So we'll see what happens. But I think the biggest it was really the biggest issue was it was a just a lot of attrition with the injuries and stuff. Adolis Garcia, he had his nicks. Josh Young missed a significant amount of time with it was either his thumb or his wrist, but everybody's healthy. I think the biggest question for me is Jacob DeGrom going to hold up this year? Because I mean, look, he's long in the tooth. They're saying he was impressive in spring training. He's coming off Tommy John surgery, but man, I'm taking a wait and see approach with Degrom. But I like the rotation. We got Nathan Eovaldi. He's penciled in as the opening day starter. Degrom's going to be the number two starter. But what sucks is number three starter John Gray. He took a line drive off his wrist and it fractured, so he's going to be out at least 6 weeks. And that's kind of set them back in the rotation. They picked up another pitcher to fill in for him. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And then you got Kumar Rocker. I think he's going to be penciled in as the fifth starter. But they also got the other Vandy boy, Jack Leiter. Man, he's got an electric fastball, but man, he's still just he doesn't have the command yet. He's just like
Yeah.
I think his last outing, he threw five strikeouts, but he also had five walks. And like I think he only pitched like 3 innings.
Yeah.
He's got to get those walks under control
The
if he
man
wants
pitch.
to. Yeah, if he wants to stand to get a spot in the rotation.
Yeah, lighter pitches like Cyclops with the little visor thing. It's like just, ah. You're mentioning the Grom. He's going to be 37 on June 19th. So yeah, age is a factor here. But let me ask you, who is your guy on the current roster? Are you more of a pitching guy, more of a hitting guy? Like who's like the person you root for?
Oh, Adolis Garcia, that's my guy. I love Adolis Garcia, and of course him, of course Marcus Simeon. No, he took a little bit of a dip last year, but I think he'll be back in the swing of things. Um, I'm really anxious to see what Wyatt Langford does this year, him being given a full season. Because man, the small sample size he had as a rookie last year, I was very impressed. I
Okay.
was very impressed. He was their first round draft pick in 2023, I believe, out of Florida, and he just tore through them. I mean, his minor league, it was like a hot knife through butter. I'm like, bro, I mean, he tore through the minors way faster than I anticipated. And when he got called up, I think he got called up he got a September call up, I believe. Him and Evan Carter during the championship run. And again, just him and Evan Carter included. That small sample size, I was really impressed with that. So yeah, those are Garcia, Simeon, and how did I forget about Corey Seager?
I don't know. Maybe
How did I
maybe you have
forget
beef
about
with
Corey
him.
Seager?
Maybe you have beef with him. I don't
No,
know.
I just completely forgot. That's my man Beanie Seager. That's what I call him. Yeah,
B-Name.
that's yeah. Oh, yeah, those are the players that I cheer for the most.
I'm rooting for Langford too because he's on my fantasy team, but that's just neither here nor
Okay.
there. As we wind this down, I got two quick questions for you. Hopefully, you can help me out with this. Did you get one of those recall Texas Rangers hat with the big T and the TE, the
Man, I
SAS
missed the
around
boat
it?
on that. I missed the boat on that, and I was kicking myself. I was like, you know what? This would be a good gag. It would make for the best conversation piece. By the time I was about to pull the trigger, they they had already yanked him off the website. I was like, I missed it.
Now, DH Gate, if you listen right now, you want to make $1 million. And also, since I've been in Texas a couple times, but you got to put me on. Can you explain to me what is a Buc-ee's and should I go?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Bucky's is incredible. Man, I could spend the next 30 minutes talking about Bucky's, bro. Because actually got one in South Carolina. There's one in Florence. It's about an hour and 40 minutes from. You know what? You putting that in the air. I might go there this weekend just for the heck of it. But
What
man,
is it? Is it a store? Is it a shop? Is it a restaurant? Like what is it?
it's like Walmart with 140 gas pumps.
Okay.
It's huge. It literally has 140 gas pumps. And what's wild is it's funny you mentioned Bucky's. Um, my sister was living in Memphis at the time, and me and my parents went up to visit her for Thanksgiving, and we drove from Memphis back to South Carolina. And there's a Bucky's in right outside of Birmingham in Leeds, Alabama. So we took that route to get back to Charleston. And I was like, because they heard me talking about Bucky's, I was like, "There's a Bucky's right outside of Birmingham. I want to stop there. I want y'all to experience it." And as soon as they walked in, their mouths were to the floor. And what's funny is, I got me and my mom got a picture with the Bucky's mascot, and it was just they were like, bro, it was sensory overload in the best way possible. And I actually had them both on my podcast to recap their experience. And Dad was like, that was the best pulled pork sandwich I ever had in my life. It's like you walk in and you just see the paraphernalia and the merchandise. You smell the pralines. They just punch you in the face. Once you get to the middle of the store, you start smelling that brisket wafting to you.
Yeah.
And they make the like they cook the brisket overnight, and then they just like have a fresh slab of brisket, and then they just there's like a group, there's like a bunch of people behind the glass, and they're just chopping the brisket up,
Now
and
hold
it's
on.
so
The
cool.
gas station brisket be slapping? The brisket by
Yes,
the oh.
in a very real way. It's like it doesn't matter what corner of the store you're in. It's like as soon as they drop a fresh batch of brisket, the dude is cutting. He goes fresh brisket on the board, and then everybody that's in the kitchen, they go fresh brisket on the board, and it's like man, and they just the smell of the brisket, and they got like I swear they got like 6 trillion varieties of beef jerkies that they make. Don't even get me started on the pastries. Oh my god, they got like pastries, they got croissants, they got pierogies.
Man,
It's bro.
I You know what? I'll be honest with you. In advance of this interview, I had one of those like search by hashtag, and I was trying to figure out what Buc-ee's sold. It was like, yo, we got
Yeah,
candy. There's a fashion line. I got shoes, cell phone chargers, popcorn.
yeah,
Like what? Yo, what scarves? Like
yeah,
what the? Yo, this is like it blows my mind. But you're telling me the
yeah,
brisket and pastries is what I gotta do when I hit up Buc-ee's. I bet.
yes,
I'm learning something
yes.
new every day. How about that?
Yeah, Bucky's. I can't. Bucky's is A1 in my book.
Man, there you have it, man. Danny Foxworth, yo, appreciate you being on the show, man. This is In the Booth with Global Boys. But here's the fun stuff. Someone listening to you right now, they say, yo, I like his vibe. I want to check out his shows. How to go about following you? How to go about check out the podcast? Give me everything.
All right. So my podcasts are At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. Since we last spoke with Danny Foxworth, and I also have two other podcasts. I have a podcast about candles called A Wicked Good Time with
That,
Wick-ED, Wicked Good Time. And basically, I just sniff and review candles in real time. I don't sniff the candles in store. I just buy them based on the description of the scent of the candle, and then I don't open the lid and smell the candle until I hit record. And in between sniffing and reviewing the candles, I'll just like talk about random things, and then have
brother,
another pot.
I, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. Sorry. Gas station brisket is bold. Not sniffing the candle before you buy it, maybe even bolder. Like that. You
Yes,
gotta sniff the candle,
yes.
bro. You gotta know what you're getting.
Yeah, you're right, but it makes for a better real time reaction. I completely agree with you, but I gotta hold myself to keeping that lid shut on them candles until I get home and press record. But I feel you 100%. Because dog, sometimes I look at the scent, excuse me, and I'll see look at the notes listed, like the particular scent notes listed. I'm like, "Ooh, buddy, it's taking everything in me not to open that lid, but I gotta commit and not open that lid." So, yeah, a wicked good time. And then my fourth podcast is called "Growing Up Low Country with Liz and Danny." So it's me and my friend Liz. She's quite literally the first friend I ever made in my entire life. We've been friends since daycare. So we've literally been friends for 40 years. And we just talk about what it was like growing up in the low country, talking about like TV shows we remember, like radio stations, local radio stations and stuff. Again, that's a very niche. It's also a very niche podcast. It's very specific to a particular group of people that grew up in the low country that are of a certain age that can relate to the things that we talk about. So you can find all four of those podcasts on every streaming platform. You can find the videos for every episode on my YouTube channel, which is at Danny Foxworth 843. Like all the videos for every episode of all those podcasts you can find on that YouTube channel. Again, it's Danny Foxworth 843. You can find me on IG, also at Danny Foxworth 843. You can find me on Twitter, also at Danny Foxworth 843, but it's spelled a little different on Twitter. It's FOXWRTH 843. It's only one O, not two. And if you're on Blue Sky, also at Danny Foxworth 843 .bsky.social. And yeah, that's all the things to plug and promote. Floyce, oh, Floyce. See, I'm so excited, man. That
No,
I'm so gassed that I'm here. I'm getting your name hacked. I'm
dude,
hacking your name.
I'm glad you
Flobo.
said no. I'm glad you said that though, because sometimes when I sign into places, I'm like, yo, who is that? I'm like, yo, it's Floyce.
Okay, so I
I,
don't feel so bad now.
so it works out. Yeah, we good.
But yeah, man, thank you so much for having me on here. I had so much fun. I was looking forward to this all day long, man.
Man, no, thank you because you close the loop for me. Because I'll be honest with you, and I think people who listen to other episodes were like, "Yeah, he must hate the Rangers because he always talks about them." But no, man, if you were in the front door, if you were the mascot over at Globe Life, it'd be a whole different experience, man. Just hearing how you got into the game, how you like root for your players and go hard for your team, straight out Texas, City Connects aside, it's always good times, man. I'm gonna check out Buc-ee's too next time I see one for sure.
Yes, sir. And actually, they changed the hashtag slogan now. They put it on their Twitter today. It's all I think it's all in Texas now.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense. Yeah, straight up, all
Yeah,
in. It's all the same thing. Go ahead, Texas, do
yeah.
your thing. All right, bro. This is In the Booth with Flobo Boys, man. Hanging with the man, Danny Foxworth. Follow the man. Say what's up if you come through with this show, and we're all doing it together, man. Easy.